like I was saying, it's important times are going out there, and I had a few things, a few thoughts that I wanted to talk about. I had written down a couple of bullet points, and then I was just gonna shoot from the hip, as you say. But then I was watching the From a Certain Point of View podcast earlier today, and they had written this column, and I decided that if I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anything, because again, this is very important. So I went ahead and that last hour between 4 and 5 before I went live, I sat down and wrote down my comments or my thoughts. And I haven't proofread anything. I don't know if they're going to make sense or not, but I didn't want to forget anything, because that happens when you get emotional. You start thinking all stuff, you go one direction, you forget what you were going to talk about. And I didn't want that to happen, especially not with this. So if you guys can bear with me for a few minutes while I kind of express why I went ahead with the show today instead of canceling, and why I think it's important that we talk about it in these times. So, yes. So I titled this, My Thoughts, A Message of Hope, same as today's episode. So I didn't know if this episode would take place, as I wasn't sure if I was the best voice to carry this message or if it was the right time. Sometimes I thought yes, because my thoughts were clear, but then later they would become clouded and overwhelmed by all the images that showed up day after day, sometimes minutes after minute. I finally decided that saying something was better than saying nothing. Yes, we are a small Star Wars podcast, but we are all human beings, and one voice can start a sea of change. So why say it on this channel, the Radio Rebellion Twitter account and podcast episode, and not my personal Twitter account like I usually do for things of this nature or my political opinion? And there's two reasons for it. First, like I mentioned, we are a small channel with a small following, but we have reached a point where it has doubled the amount of followers from my personal account. So if I was to reach the highest number of people possible, then I should do it with my biggest platform. Why tell 70 people when I can try and reach 150? Second, this isn't a political issue. This isn't a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's a civil rights issue. It's a human rights issue, more importantly. And I want to believe that there are good people on all political ideologies that can understand this and stand up and say enough is enough when they see a certain group of people being treated completely different than the majority of others, solely because of the color of their skin. So yes, I decided to participate in Blackout Tuesday, not post anything, give that platform and that space to other people, other Black voices, to fill that space and let themselves be known and their struggles and what they want to accomplish. I'm fortunate enough to have a job, a day job that supports my family and lets me have a Star Wars podcast as an outlet to talk about something I love, which is Star Wars, without the care that if I lose a couple followers here or there, or people don't like what I'm standing for, then it doesn't affect my responsibilities to my family. And if you don't know me, if you don't know my name is Alberto, you haven't heard me speak, I look like your average white guy walking down the street, but I'm not. I'm a Puerto Rican that lived my first 28 years in Puerto Rico, and before moving to the States 12 years ago. I have been confused for Italian, Greek, and other Hispanic or Latino nationalities. I work at a place where the mascot is called Albert. And when I go to the food court and people ask me my name for my order, they ask me to repeat myself, to spell my name. I just have to tell them it's just like Albert with an O at the end. I have been asked a couple times by adults whose kids go to the same school as my kids if we need a green card or a visa to be in this country. Then I have to tell them no, that as Puerto Rican citizens, we're also American citizens from the day that we're born. And they never ask out of malice or negatively. And once you tell them no, this is the reason why, they go okay and they go about their business. So there's no negativity. So I'm not trying to say that I felt what other people in my position or the Black community position have felt. So what I'm trying to say is that old adage that if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So Puerto Rico became a part of the United States back in 1898 after the Spanish-American War. Puerto Rico went from being a Spanish territory to American territory. And in 1917 or 1918, the Stafford Act made every Puerto Rican citizen an American citizen right then. So since that day, every person born in Puerto Rico has also been a Puerto Rican, an American citizen, sorry. So again, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And just because slavery ended, Black people got the right to vote, we elected the first African-American president, doesn't mean that racism isn't out there and isn't as visual. And it's not as simple as saying I'm not a racist. It's knowing that the problem is a systemic racism that affects people of color in this country, and it's brought to attention when we constantly, for years and years, have seen Black people killed on the streets in the middle of the day by the same police officers that are supposed to be here to help us. And they're not charged. And if they're charged with a crime, they're rarely prosecuted or convicted. Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, countless more. Now, George Floyd was the last straw that culminated with all the current protests that we see out there ongoing on this country. And hopefully will bring about change, real change to the constant police brutality that we're seeing day after day. So what can we do? Support Black content creators, Black artists, Black businesses, let their voices be heard. Also, this is difficult on this climate that we're now. Protests have to be done, protests have to be out there, but most of the protesters, which are minorities, are the same that are more highly to be affected by the still pandemic that we're seeing with COVID-19 out there. Minorities are already worse off when it comes to getting quality healthcare, and any increase in cases will also be devastating. So if you're out there, please be safe, wear your mask. I know we can't do social distancing, but be safe, get tested. Again, why say anything if we're just a Star Wars podcast and we're here to talk Star Wars? We all love the Sith. We all love the Empires and their big ships and their black cloaks and their red lightsabers. But in reality, we all root for the rebels, for the rebellion, the resistance. When Star Wars actors are attacked on social media, what do? We go after those that are irrational in their criticism. When Daisy Ridley was forced out for being the female lead in Star Wars, we spoke out against it. When John Boyega was also attacked by being a Black stormtrooper, we came to his defense. Not that he needs it, because you see how he's out there doing what needs to be done. Kelly Marie Tran forced out of Twitter just because some racist people didn't like her character. We all stood up. So attack their characters if you don't like how they were portrayed in a movie, but don't go after the actor, don't go after the person behind the character. So if we stand up for them, why shouldn't we stand up when we see our brothers and sisters being attacked and murdered day after day? And I understand, and I'm saying this seriously, accounts out there, Twitter, Star Wars accounts, that posted on Twitter still release their episodes without interruption. I understand why. I have no ill feelings against them. Like I said before, I have a job that supports my family, and not everyone does at this moment. For some people, their Star Wars podcast is the main source of income. I'm just going through this pandemic and still trying to get out of all the economic impact. I understand people not wanting to risk their family's well-being and still have to be there putting out content. So I understand completely. And still those accounts went on and tweeted and retweeted Black Lives Matter and Black activists, and they still tweeted out their support. So I understand, and this is not me trying to be better than anyone. And we all love and support John Boyega's statements. First, when he went on Instagram when George Floyd was initially murdered, and then earlier this week, protesting in London with his passionate speech. And I love that Star Wars went after it and supported him wholeheartedly. So yeah, the Empire are the bad guys. They only want humans in their ranks, people that look exactly the same, think exactly the same. The only alien, as we know, was Thrawn, and he was always near than the other Imperials looked sideways at him. The only one that accepted him was the Emperor, but the Emperor was only using him for his political mind and his insight. But the rebellion, the New Republic, what Star Wars is made of, what it consists of, and compromise are humans, Wookiees, Gungans, Feelings, Mon Cala, Solostan, Ewoks, even Jawas. all different species, all different race and genders fighting for what's right, not caring about our difference. So again, you might be asking, what can I do? What can just one person do? So if today, just with this episode, I can reach 20 people out there, 15 to 20, then those 15 and 20 people go and talk to another 10 or 15 and tell them what's going on, express themselves and how they can help. And then those 15 or 10 go and talk to another 5 or 10 people. Then we start building something. It's not just started with one person, we keep building and building. And to bring it back to Star Wars and try to cap this up. So people have a lot of complaints about the Rise of Skywalker, but one thing everyone can agree on is Lando, the way Lando was incorporated into the movie and his scenes. It was only 3 scenes, very impactful ones. And I'll go just to 2 of them. I'm sure you guys know where I'm going. When you have 2 minority actors in Billy Dee Williams and Oscar Isaac. So you have first Poe sitting next to Leia on her bed. And Poe, how did you do it? How can so little stand up against so many? And Lando comes in because we had each other. Me, Leia, Han, Luke, we had each other. We need each other now. And then that ending, the final battle, again, Poe is on the comms with all the other fighters. I'm sorry, friend, I thought we stand a chance, but there's just too many of them. And Lando comes around, but there's more of us, Poe. There are more of us. And I need to believe that there are more of us out there that can stand up when we see something that's wrong. It doesn't matter if we're Star Wars fans, have a podcast, or just regular people on the street. We're white, black, American, Latin, Hispanic, Chinese, Europeans, whatever. We know that we can stand up when we see something wrong because there are more of us out there. And yeah, we can say no more. So what does Star Wars mean? A few episodes ago for Star Wars Day, we talked what does Star Wars mean to us? And I always say it's hope. Star Wars means hope. Just Luke staring out the twin suns is hope of a better life for him. So if Star Wars is hope that we will stand up against oppression and aggression, and when we see that someone is getting beaten down, we're going to help them because we know they're going to help us at the end. Rebellions are built on hope. When Leia gets that message at the end of Rogue One, what did they give us? Hope. That boy is our last hope. So yes, Star Wars is a message of hope. So it might be just a Star Wars podcast, but the message is there. The message of hope for everyone to be treated the way they're supposed to be treated, no matter the color of their skin or what they look like or their religious beliefs or sexual affiliation, straight, gay, lesbian, transgender. Everyone deserves the same amount of love and hope out there. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. And I know it's a lot. Again, it's not a simple issue, but I hope that just me trying to reach a few people out there, then you guys can go and express the same to a few more and then keep this message going and stand up when we see injustices being made. All right, so yeah, you say because you are human. Yeah, we're all human out there. Thanks, Francois. I do believe that there are more of us, and they are. And again, like I mentioned, I understand people not wanting to make too much of this from their podcast or their Twitter account. But again, just doing one little thing is better than doing nothing. So, yeah, there are more of us. So let's keep spreading the word. Like I've seen out there, it's not just one day. We didn't do one thing and then starting on Monday, we're back to our regular lives. It's a constant fight. We have to know how to balance everything. All right, so that's it for my message on Star Wars, the message of hope and the world that's out there right now. All right.